Continuing from last video, I now crossed the border and headed to Almaty in a shared taxi with two others for around $20 per person. I was then dropped off at a local mall and ate what I believe is Kazan kebab with rice, then headed to my first of two hostels while in Almaty. Later that day, I went to Doshtoy Plaza and ate at a local burger joint. Right after, I went to the local supermarket called Walmart, ironically almost exactly like Walmart, where I saw horse milk for the first time, but opted not to buy as my stomach was still not in the best condition. The next day, I met a guy from the hostel named Sion, and we hung out for the day. I was introduced to a very unique experience to say the least. After, he introduced me to a Russian drink called Baikal, which is apparently pine cone soda. We then took the bus and went to Shumbalak, which is a ski resort that has nice views during summertime and even has a cable car that takes you all the way to the top. Later, I went back to Doshtoy Plaza and got myself a new backpack as my old one completely ripped on me. Afterward, I ate salmon at a local cafe. The next day, I had breakfast at a local cafe and ate sirniki, which is a Russian pancake with cottage cheese inside, which is extremely good. After, I visited the nearby memorial of Aliyah Moldagolva and Manshuk Mametova, World War II heroes of Kazakh origin, then had a photo shoot once again with my Russian photography friend. We then went to Shumbalak, this time taking the cable car all the way up. Here we had hot wine, then watched as the thunderstorm dissipated. Suddenly a rainbow came out, and everyone was outside. Genuinely one of the most beautiful experiences I've had in my life. We then headed back down the mountain to go back into the city. Little side note, I somehow found ShopRite croutons in a random mall while shopping for snacks. For those that don't know, ShopRite is a grocery store in the northeast of America. At night, a Tartar lady who I spoke to for a few hours made me this porridge that was a family recipe. After, I tried this Russian yogurt product, then headed to sleep. The next day, I walked around the city, stumbling upon this beautiful walkway called Taranko. Right after, I had a Georgian dish called hinkali, then watched the sunset at my new hostel before taking a taxi to the local bus depot for my 2-day trip to Kolsai and Candy Lake. Funny story that happened here. It doesn't say on the map, but here's a border checkpoint where they check your passport because for whatever reason, that's a thing that has to happen due to being close to the Kyrgyzstan border. The military agent comes to check my passport, has an immediate bad reaction, and is talking to me in Kazakh, which I don't understand, and starts yelling at me, at which point I began to panic. Eventually it got resolved, and I ended up finding out that he had never seen an American passport before, which caused him to be hostile towards me. We woke up early in the morning, ate breakfast, and headed out to Candy Lake. Here is the first time I ever ridden a horse in my life, and it was quite an interesting experience to say the least. Candy Lake is extremely beautiful, as you can see here, and very photogenic. We had about a few hours here before we left. We then took our off-road bus back to Satay, back to the home to eat lunch, where we soon after went to Kosai Lake. A few hours later and we made it to Kosai Lake and once again had breathtaking views of this beautiful country. If I had to choose, I would say Candy Lake is the most scenic lake, but I overall like the vibe of Kosai Lake more. After spotting this interesting car, we then left and that night had a fire burning party.
Hatta bileşik böyle yapıyorsun. Böyle bir kod var.
The next day, after taking photos with some people on the tour, we all headed to Charlin Canyon, which is considered the second biggest canyon in the world. It was extremely hot here, but the natural rock formations were so amazing to witness and take photos at. We then took the 3-hour bus ride back to Almaty, and I eventually made it back to the hostel, where these two Kazakh people were so shocked to see an American that they had to take a photo with me. And as you can see, I was extremely exhausted and headed right to sleep. On this day, I ate at a local cafe before heading to Koktobe, which is a famous mountain in the city that has good views of the city and lots of attractions to get on and see. This here is the cable car I used to get up the mountain that cost around $8. A few hours later, I left Koktobe and had a random encounter with this guy here who was extremely drunk but also extremely nice and wanted us to take a picture together. For the rest of the day, he kept spam calling me, so I never ended up sending him the pictures we took, but hopefully one day I can go back and give him the pictures. After, I had dinner at my favorite chicken shashlik spot called Cafe Zolotaya Ovechka, drinking tarhun with my chicken shashlik. As you can see, we jumped forward one day, as the previous day all I did was stay and relax at the hostel. This day I ate at another local cafe before visiting Zenkov's Cathedral, followed by me eating some sushi for lunch, then trying out the metro, which was a bit underwhelming, but an experience everyone should try. This day was my last day, and I boarded my first of 4 flights back to America, with this flight stopping in Bishkek for half a day. I went back to the hostel I was staying at in Bishkek and was given these gifts by one of the hostel workers. Early in the morning, I boarded my flight from Bishkek to Istanbul, which was 6 hours. Midway through the flight, I realized one of my AirPods was missing. Bishkek airport had many security checkpoints, and at the very last one, my AirPods case had fell. I was so tired at that point that I didn't realize when AirPod had fell out. I eventually got in contact with someone from the airport to look for it, but then they randomly blocked me. So for those commuting through the Bishkek Manas airport, be careful of your items as there are thieves in this airport. In Istanbul, I got myself a shawarma and bought myself a pack of Turkish baklava chocolate that was so good. In Berlin, I got myself fish and chips and bought German yogurt chocolate that was extremely good. I then boarded my flight from Berlin to New York, which concludes the longest day of my life, both metaphorically and literally. This video concludes what was the best summer of my life that I'll never forget. Kazakhstan, just like all the other countries I visited, has a beauty and personality that can't be explained. One day I'll be back to showcase this country even better than what I showed in this video. So until then, goodbye, and like and subscribe to see my future travel videos coming soon.